Many of you have asked about history of funeral homes and getting more of the history and the business and what we've done. So wanted to give a little throwback here to the beginning of funeral homes in America. So we're going to start with the term undertaker and why that was created. It's really because they are the person who undertook the funeral arrangements. And they laid everything out, helped coordinate everything, so they became known as the undertaker. This was often also the furniture maker in town. Ironic, right? Because they're making caskets and coffins. And so the undertaker role was kind of a secondary career for them. You want to guess when the first funeral home started in America? Throw out your numbers. So the Buck Trout of Williamsburg in Williamsburg, Virginia, is the oldest funeral home in America and is still open and operating. And it was started in 1759. Buck Trout began as cabinet makers in colonial Williamsburg. And when neighbors and friends passed away, Benjamin Bucktrout and Anthony Hay would make caskets for them. Back then, possibly more of a coffin style, and they would bury on the Bucktrout farm. Now, it was during that time as well that funeral parlors really started kind of popping up, I guess you would say, because the bodies that were returning from service and people that were dying around, they would bring into the care of a funeral parlor rather than just leave them at the home and, have a wake at the home. They would bring them into the funeral parlor for preparation and casketing and the viewing. So things did really start changing all about that same time during the Civil War. The Home Funeral Alliance says from the beginning of time until the 1860s in the US, pretty much all funerals were home funerals. It was always a practice to be with the loved ones as they died in their homes. Then we, with our own hands, we washed, dressed, combed hair, laid them out, and lamented. The funeral industry in the U.S. grew 100% between 1865 and 1920, with almost 25,000 funeral homes established in the country. So we went from 1759 with one funeral home up to about 25,000. And abyssworld.com reports that in 2023, there are 24,636 funeral homes in the U.S. So that's a little history for you.